the headlines of VTV News. Philippines President begins state visit to Vietnam. In January alone, Vietnam has attracted more than $2.36 billion in FDI. And later on in our world news, Indian Navy rescues Iranian fishing boat.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello to our viewers all over the world. This is VTV News broadcast live from Hanoi. I'm Lina Pham. Here's the top news of the hour. State President Võ Văn Thưởng and his wife on Tuesday hosted a welcome ceremony at the Presidential Palace for Philippine President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. and his wife, as the later was on the two-day state visit to the country. The two leaders held talks following the welcome ceremony.
State President Võ Văn Thưởng warmly welcomed President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos' first state visit to Vietnam since taking office in June 2022. The visit aimed to reaffirm and promote the bilateral relations between two countries, especially to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the establishment of the strategic partnership in 2025 and the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations in 2026. State President Võ Văn Thưởng proposed that the Philippines continue to treat Vietnamese fishermen humanly and soon extend the hotline agreement to quickly exchange information on illegal fishing activities. Discussing multilateral and regional cooperation, the two sides appreciated regular coordination and support for each other's candidacy for international organization. President Marcos praised the socio-economic development achievements between two countries and affirmed that Vietnam continues to be the Philippines' only strategic partner in ASEAN. Since upgrading to a strategic partnership in 2015, economic cooperation has developed positively with impressive trade turnover. The Philippines continue to be Vietnam's largest rice import market. At the end of the talk, the two leaders witnessed the exchange of cooperation documents in agriculture, rice trade, along with maritime affairs and culture.
Also, on the same day, Vietnamese State President Võ Văn Thưởng and the Philippine President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. visited the Vietnamese State Space Exhibition and the World Heritage Site of the Thăng Long Imperial Citadel. The two leaders were introduced to the unique cultural features of Vietnamese traditional date customs. The two leaders also visited Đoan Môn, one of the main gates leading to the Forbidden City, where Kính Thiên Palace and other palaces are located. Thăng Long Imperial Citadel is a complex of relics associated with the history of the Vietnamese capital city of Hanoi. This massive architecture was built by the medieval dynasties during many historical periods, and it is also rated among most important historical monuments in Vietnam. On the morning of January the 30th, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính met with Philippine President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. This marks the fifth meeting between the two leaders in the past year. Both sides expressed satisfaction with the development of Vietnam-Philippines strategic partnership and expressed their desire to deepen the relationship further. The leaders affirmed their determination to increase two-way trade turnover to $10 billion. This will be achieved through measures to facilitate market access for key exports such as agricultural products, food, and rice. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính assured that Vietnam is prepared to supply rice to the Philippines in a strategic, long-term, and stable manner at reasonable prices. This will contribute to the Philippines' food security efforts. Following the talks, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and Philippine President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. co-chaired the meeting with businesses from the two countries.
At the meeting, leaders of 18 businesses from the two countries openly discussed policies and solutions to strengthen cooperation in a variety of fields. Philippine businesses want to cooperate in the fields of telecommunications, energy, infrastructure development, electric vehicle manufacturing, and food, while Vietnamese businesses stressed greater cooperation in digital and green transformation processes, dual-use high technology, food production, and processing.
And that would seem to make it a counter-intuitive partnership. But we have always followed the principle that let us compete, but let us cooperate whenever we can.
While both sides have achieved encouraging results, the Vietnamese Prime Minister believed that there is plenty of potential for development, such as cooperation in the fields of digital transformation, green transformation, and climate change. The Prime Minister also urged the two sides to work towards faster licensing, remove unreasonable technical barriers, and promptly adjust regulations and policies to fit the circumstances in the new era.
Vietnam always listens and is ready to promote trade, investment, and economics between the two countries. When businesses are better connected, the two economies are more connected. Let's work together to remove obstacles and head for better results. Strive for the sake of peace, cooperation, and development for stronger, more prosperous countries and happier citizens.
Vietnam commits to accompany and create favorable conditions according to the law for Philippine businesses to conduct successful, sustainable, and long-term investments in Vietnam.
National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ met with President of the Philippines Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. in Hanoi on Tuesday, describing the latter's first state visit to Vietnam as a strong impetus to tighten the strategic partnership between the two countries.
The host leader applauded the outcomes of the earlier talks between Vietnamese state president and his Philippine counterpart. The Vietnamese top legislator held that trade is a bright spot of the bilateral ties, adding it has helped generate benefits for enterprises and people of both countries amid obstacles to global investment and trade flows. The Philippine President Marcos Jr. shared his host's view about the need to enhance political trust, expand cooperation in the fields of labor, agriculture, education, and training, and exchange experience in natural disaster prevention and control, vocational training, the building of labor, employment and social protection policies. Talking about regional and international issues of shared interest, the two leaders agreed that Vietnam and the Philippines will support each other at multilateral frameworks. The two nations will continue their close coordination with each other to maintain and carry out ASEAN's common stance on the East Sea, ensure the full and serious implementation of the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the East Sea, and promote the negotiations on and building of an efficient and effective code of conduct in the East Sea in line with international law, including the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea or UNCLOS. Earlier on the same day, the Philippine president and his spouse laid a wreath at the Memorial of Martyrs and Heroes and visited the President Ho Chi Minh's mausoleum.
Following the talks between Vietnamese leaders and the Philippine president, the two countries issued a joint statement affirming cooperation in agriculture, rice trade, maritime affairs, and culture. The two countries also agreed to strengthen cooperation, coordination, and mutual consultation to respond effectively and promptly to regional and international issues of common concern, thereby contributing to strengthening ASEAN centrality in the ASEAN-led mechanisms in promoting peace, security, and prosperity. Following the recovery momentum of 2023, import and export activities in the early days of 2024 continue to show signs of improvement. As of mid-January, the total turnover of goods from imports and exports was estimated at $29.8 billion, which is a 5.4% increase compared to the same period last year. Specifically, exports increased by 4.1% and imports increased by 6.8%. The trade surplus reached 0.38 billion US dollars. In the first half of last month, there were 4 products with export turnover exceeding 1 billion US dollars, including phones and components, electronics, machinery and components, and textiles. In January alone, Vietnam has attracted more than 2.36 billion US dollars in foreign direct investment, up 40% over the same period last year, of which the newly registered capital reached 2 billion US dollars, a 67% increase. This is a bright spot in the economy at the beginning of the new year and a positive sign for increasing FDI capital flows in 2024.
Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu in January attracted over 280 million US dollar, accounting for nearly 12% of the country's total investment capital. This makes Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu the second locality in attracting FDI, just after Hanoi. This is a success for the locality as FDI in 2023 doubled compared to the previous year.
The majority of the province FDI projects in the past year came from Japan, South Korea, and Thailand. The province has attracted new industries such as petrochemicals, which serve domestic production and export.
Singapore remained Vietnam's leading source of foreign investment, with more than 1.4 billion US dollars this month, making up nearly 16% of total FDI registered in the country. Many Singaporean corporations are especially interested in Vietnam's medical service industry through cooperation with domestic businesses to deploy healthcare services in Vietnam. Vietnam's focus on investing in value-added fields such as technology, innovation, and the semiconductor industry is opening up many opportunities for foreign investors. According to Japan External Trade Organization, nearly 57% of Japanese businesses have plans to expand their business in Vietnam in the near future.
The percentage of businesses gaining profits that have plans to expand their business in the next 1 to 2 years is still high. Many Japanese businesses are eager to learn about investment in Vietnam.
Vietnam disbursed capital in January also shows positive results, reaching 1.48 billion US dollar, up 9.5% over the same period last year. This momentum is the basis for greater FDI inflows in both quantity and quality in this year.
Coming up next, government implements new programs to reduce poverty in ethnic communities. And Thanh Ninh province diversifies tourism products to attract tourists. You're watching VTV News. On Tuesday, the Mekong Delta province of Hậu Giang held a meeting to present gifts to people with meritorious services to the revolution and the relatives of martyrs in Ngã Bảy City. Local authorities presented 300 gifts with a total value of 13,000 US dollars to policy families who have made revolutionary contributions, poor and near-poor households. The province also presented gifts and shopping vouchers to workers and households in difficult circumstances. According to the Provincial Department of Labor, War, Invalids and Social Affairs, during the Lunar New Year of the Dragon in 2024, the total number of people receiving date gifts according to regulations is over 60,000 people. Among them are 18,000 people with meritorious services to the revolution, 32,000 social protection cases, more than 9,000 poor households. To help ethnic communities improve income and maintain their livelihoods, the Vietnamese government has implemented sustainable poverty reduction programs in rural mountainous areas. A report in Hà Giang province, where 7 out of 11 localities are classified as the poorest districts.
Many families in Melvak district can celebrate the biggest festival of the year in their new house. Thanks to the government support, Vu Mi Tuo got a preferential loan of nearly $1,800 to build a new house before Tet, a lifelong dream that finally came true.
I had never thought I would be able to build a new house. Thanks to the government support, I got a preferential loan to maintain a sustainable livelihood.
The government's favorable policies, including preferential loans, have helped ethnic people improve their income and maintain their livelihood. Many families in the village have a new house.
In Melvak district, poor families are eligible to borrow at least $2,000. However, policy loans need to be paid back. Eligible families are encouraged to raise profitable farm animals for profit. After they can stabilize their income, they will be able to pay back what they have borrowed from local social policy banks.
I applied for a loan to raise cows and pigs. I borrowed about $4,000 from the Provincial Social Policy Bank to raise livestock.
In addition to the government's financial support, Hazang authorities disbursed nearly $205,000 to help poor households maintain their livelihoods and security.
We've distributed financial support of the government and local authorities to poor families and policy beneficiaries.
In Ha'ir village, poor families are eligible to get a preferential loan from the government to stabilize their lives, but they must pay back what they borrowed. This model aims to raise people's sense of responsibility and motivate them to try their best in the fight against poverty.
For the majority of workers, rent is easily the most expensive category of their expenditures, particularly in the month leading up to Tết. However, tenants in some parts of Ho Chi Minh City have had a weight lifted off their shoulders as they've received material and emotional support from their landlords. More on this in the following story.
Guan Teng Luan's family lives in a small room, facing daily struggles to make ends meet. The hardship becomes even more challenging as the Tết holiday approaches. Due to limited finances, she hasn't been able to afford Tết goods, as all her expenses are allocated towards foods and basic necessities. However, she can take solace in the fact that her landlord consistently extends support to tenants on special holidays.
The landlord of this shared house has helped me a lot. The Women's Association also held a low-price fare for us to shop without worry.
The majority of tenants here are low-income workers and students, so they lead difficult lives. Most of them choose to stay here during the Tết holiday.
Nguyen Thành Tâm is another landlord in District 12 who cares deeply for his tenants. His family would host a New Year party for all of his tenants and give out more than $6,000 as Tết gifts.
I have organized celebration parties like this for over 18 years. My purpose is for everyone to come together and share their emotions. I hope everyone performs well in their jobs so that they can enjoy a joyful Tết holiday.
It's heartwarming that the landlord is willing to support his tenants. He generously provided a year's worth of rent and travel fares.
These acts of kindness and compassion not only hold great significance for tenants, but also contribute to a joyful and heartwarming Tết celebration for the local community.
In January of this year, Vietnam welcomed over 1.5 million international visitors, marking the highest number since the country reopened for tourism in March 2022. This figure is equivalent to the number of international visitors in January 2019 before the pandemic. Out of the 1.5 million visitors, nearly 1.3 million arrived by air, approximately 177,000 arrived by road, and the rest came by sea. South Korea remained the largest market with 418,000 visitors, followed by China. This positive trend is encouraging for Vietnam's tourism industry as it strives to achieve its goal of attracting 17 to 18 million international visitors in 2024, aiming for a recovery of 95 to 100% compared to 2019. Tây Ninh province is one of the most popular tourist destinations in Vietnam, with around 5.1 million visitors each year. To attract more tourists in 2024, local authorities have cooperated with tourism companies in building more cultural landmarks as well as diversifying local tourism products.
Ba Đen Mountain has become a favorite destination of Vietnamese and international tourists. In this sacred place, tourists can enjoy music performances typical of the southern culture.
What a divine and picturesque place. I want to come here whenever I have time to travel.
A statue of meritorious Buddha, weighing over 5,100 metric tons, has been inaugurated on the top of Ba Đen Mountain. Covering a surface area of more than 4,600 square meters, the statue is 36 meters tall and 45 meters wide in maximum. The statue has shaped by a distinctive method, assembled from 6,688 natural sandstone pieces and inspired by terraced fields.
Natural sandstone pieces form a circle, creating a sense of fulfillment and happiness. If we can live a fulfilling life, we will be able to inspire other people.
Many new tourist sites have attracted a large number of visitors, such as the highest artificial waterfall in Asia, flowing around the statue of meritorious Buddha, and the Ước Bridge, where visitors can enjoy the panoramic view of Tây Ninh from the top of Ba Đen Mountain.
Ba Đen Mountain is a sacred place where residents in southern region often come for worshipping and sightseeing. We believe that the statue will make our dreams come true.
Tây Ninh authorities expect to turn Ba Đen Mountain into one of the most famous tourist landmarks in the world. The locality is aiming to attract 5.5 million tourist arrivals in 2024.
Coming up next in our world news, Indian Navy rescues Iranian fishing boat. And Russia to launch new wintering complex at Vostok Station. The Indian Navy on Monday said that its offshore patrol vessel INS Sumitra responded to a distress call from the Iranian flagged fishing vessel hijacked off the Somali coast, and the swift response coerced the pirates to release the boat and the crew held hostage. The warship is currently deployed for anti-piracy operations along the east coast of Somalia and the Gulf of Aden. INS Sumitra compelled the safe release of the 19 Pakistani crew members and the Iranian-flagged Al-Nami fishing vessel. The rescue took place just 36 hours after India said its forces had freed 17 crew members on an Iranian-flagged fishing vessel. Russian President Vladimir Putin has announced the launch of a new wintering complex at the Vostok Station in Antarctica. The Russian president and his Belarusian counterpart Alexander Lukashenko took part via video conference in the ceremony to launch the trial operation of the wintering complex to mark the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Leningrad. Russian President Putin said this is one of the most modern and well-equipped research stations on the continent. It is situated over Lake Vostok, where the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth, minus 90 degrees Celsius, was measured. Founded in 1957, the Vostok Station is located on the Antarctic ice dome at an altitude of 3,500 meters. The new wintering complex is a modular construction consisting of 5 blocks, covering an area of more than 3,000 square meters. It is designed to comfortably accommodate of up to 15 people in the wintering period and up to 35 people during the regular season. Russian scientists will monitor solar activity and other space weather phenomena that affect both technology and humans, as well as study the role of Antarctica in global climate change. Two provinces with the largest number of international students in Canada, Ontario and British Columbia, have recently announced drastic measures to crack down on the misuse of the international student recruitment immigration system. The move came after the Canadian government announced an immediate 2-year cap on new international student permits for private institutions. British Columbia will ban new private post-secondary institutions from applying to enroll international students for the next 2 years. Post-secondary Education Minister Selina Robinson said on Monday. The Ontario government on Friday last week asked all colleges and universities to guarantee housing for all foreign students. In addition, colleges and universities were ordered to ensure the quality of the post-secondary education system, including strict monitoring of the enrollment process. A world first in rhinoceros reproductive health could save northern white rhinos from extinction, according to scientists in Berlin. The team at the Biorescue Project successfully impregnated a southern white rhino via in vitro fertilization, creating a possible path for restoring the northern white rhino species.
The experiment was conducted with the less endangered southern white rhino subspecies. The researchers created a southern white rhino embryo in a lab from an egg and sperm collected from other rhinos and transferred it into a southern white rhino surrogate mother.
We had a gap of more than 20 years, but with this new technology, we see that we have a really fair chance to achieve this, the first pregnancy of this magnificent species in this year, but the pregnancy length of a rhino takes 16 months, so it's a long journey for the baby.
While commonly used in humans, horses, and cows, the method had never been used in rhinos before. Although the mother later died of a bacterial infection due to flooding, the pregnancy was successful.
The baby will be raised milk-wise by lactation from the southern white rhino, but it will spend most of the time that is our plan with the northern white rhino. So to learn how to be a northern white rhino, because that is a really important element of surviving in the landscape of Central Africa.
Roughly 20,000 southern white rhinos remain in Africa. That subspecies, as well as another species, the black rhino, are bouncing back from significant reduction in their populations due to poaching for their horns. However, the northern white rhinoceros subspecies has only 2 known members left in the world. Even if several northern white rhino calves are born, they will not be genetically diverse enough to produce a viable population. Researchers said they would seek to use gene editing to improve the genetic diversity of future offspring, also taking genetic material from museum samples.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. See you again at 3 p.m. local time. Goodbye for now.